It is your girl, Julie, coming to you live from my office. And as you can see, my hair is kind of pulled back here in this headband. My bangs are pulled back and they're popping out already because they're super crazy. But I'm going to be masking while we do tarot and talking a little bit about how this week is going. It is insanely hot today, like so disgusting here in Indiana and across much of the country, I think, much of the Midwest anyway. So I am trying to stay hydrated. I've got my cherry pomegranate polar water. Oh man, thirsty. Drinking a lot of water today, folks. Stay hydrated. And I am getting prepared to mask with Witch's Brew. So I've got this going on, and I am digging into it with a little cotton swab so I can get all of the little nutritious bits that sort of collect at the bottom mixed into the oils and everything here so that it is nice and mixed up for when I put it on my face. So that is what I'm doing right now. Ooh, it's very, I'm gonna just do that. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm cool. Look at that. Hi, Dawn. Thanks for joining me. Yeah. So we'll get some of those on my face and I'll continue putting it on with an actual brush. I'm gonna have my mirror here off to the side where you can't see because for some reason I can like put stuff on in a mirror, but I can't do it, with a camera. So I get my signals all confused. So anyway, I'm putting on Witch's Brew with a foundation brush, which you can use to put on masks. And I actually think that these are really good for putting on masks because the bristles kind of grab the little particles in masks like Witch's Brew and like Detox and other Sabbatical beauty masks. I think they do it really well, and you can get them sort of on your face really easily. So I'm really just going at it because my skin is like the struggle today. Like I said, it's really, really hot today, and I cannot wait to jump in the shower after this and just clean myself off and like just enjoy being in cool water. And I know that that is sort of weird for someone like me because I really don't like water very much. I'm an Aries. Like, yes, I shower every day, but I like tolerate showers. I don't like live for showers, but today I could really use one. And I don't go swimming. So, hi, Laura. Thanks for joining me. Dawn says, too hard to breathe. Yes. Oh my gosh. It just felt like I went outside and I was like, oh, I can taste the air, and not in a good way. So yeah, so that was fun. And by fun, I mean not fun at all. Hi, Sharon. Thanks for joining me tonight. Like I said, I am just masking up with Witch's Brew right now. Just gonna finish just getting a nice layer here on my forehead, and then we'll get started. Woohoo! All right. Cool. So make sure I get it kind of evenly all over my face. It smells really good. Like, it smells very herbal and like very sort of like fancy and nourishing. Like, oh, I'm using this magical sort of tincture, like you're putting like wizardry on your face. I think I said that once before, but yes. So how's everyone's Tuesday going? How's everyone's week going so far? I know we're kind of just jumping into the week. Here in the United States, it was a federal holiday yesterday, which is Labor Day, which means it's a bank holiday and everything like that. And so I didn't have work yesterday, but I still worked, at home, other stuff. Hi, Anne. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yay. So glad you guys are here. So when I came into work this morning and I had a really long day today, I'm just pooped. And I got home and immediately started cooking, and I was just like, I finished cooking the chili that I made, and I just kind of like finished my bowl, and I said to my husband, can you please put everything away, because I'm too tired to do anything more. So he got home really late today too. We do share the chores. We do split the chores, but I got home earlier than him today. Anyway, so I got my witch's brew mask on, and I'm trying to get some good light on me here. Oh, that's better. Okay. And so let's do tarot. So today I have this light is like not good at all. Sorry that I'm so dark right now. Let's try that. So today I have, again, the Wild Unknown Tarot to work with today. And I continue to work with this sort of when we do tarot days because I'm trying to kind of develop more of an affinity with it, and I think it's working. The more that I use it, I'm starting to feel more connected with it, the more that I read with it for other people. So I'm going to use it again today. And again, for those of you who may not know much about this tarot, it's really popular. Right now, it's one of the more popular decks I think that you can sort of find in tarot places, sort of tarot sites on the internet and stuff like that. A lot of people like to use this deck. And this deck is kind of unique in that even though it's like a traditional tarot deck, all of the cards have images of natural things on them. There aren't any actual human figures on any of these cards. There's either plants or animals or sort of natural phenomena. So, and I'm probably gonna see me wiping mask off of the corners of my mouth throughout this. And that's because this is an oil mask, so sometimes it kind of just starts to run down your face. But that's all right. We're just gonna dab. So, before I should begin, I should remind you that tarot's for entertainment purposes only, so, this is just for fun. The first thing I think I'm going to do is pull a card that will be for all of us as kind of our message for the week. I've been doing this for the last couple of times that I've done Tarot Tuesday, pulled a message card that'll be sort of what the universe has to say to all of us for the week, and I could definitely use some guidance right now. I've been having kind of a tough couple of days, just feeling really anxious and tired and burnt out, and I don't know, worried about lots of different things. I have a couple friends who are struggling too with anxiety, so I'd really love to hear what the tarot has to say about that. If the tarot has any good, if the tarot has any good advice for those of us who are having, kind of a rough few days. For those of us who are in the teaching profession or do schools and stuff like that, this is kind of, we're just starting the year, so it's a lot. Thanks, Dawn. I appreciate that. Hi, Carol. Nice to see you. Yay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle just a few more times, and then I'm going to pull our sort of guidance card for the week. Yay, I'm so glad you guys are here. Carol and Sharon, for your first tarot card with me. I'm excited that you're here. This is awesome. All right. So shuffle the cards. I'm thinking about, guidance for all of us and all of our sort of things we're going through. And I am going to cut my cards to the left. You won't be able to see them because they won't be in frame because I always cut on the table. But I will pull the card up and then I will talk to you about what I got. All right. Okay. Oof. All right. So the card that I have pulled for us is kind of a tough card to see, but I think it's important that we kind of look at messages that seem kind of negative and talk about what they mean, because people tend to be a little bit nervous when they see cards like this. But let me show you the card. This is the 10 of Swords. Now, as you can see, let me scoot my camera a little bit closer. This card is dark. It's actually, it's dark in terms of its color. It's very dark. There's not a lot of light in this card, but the imagery is also quite dark. The imagery that you see on this card is a bunch of swords and they are stabbing into a bull. So evoking bullfights, which have that kind of element of violence in them. The one's going right through the bull's eyes. That's pretty intense. So we've got this very intense, very dark kind of message coming through to us with the swords. Normally, whenever these cards come up, with folks who maybe aren't as experienced with the tarot, it can be really distressing to see a card that has imagery that's so negative. And even on like the traditional tarot decks that you see, like the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's a similar kind of imagery. There's swords stabbing into somebody, but it's usually into a person, and that person is kind of collapsed on the ground, and they look like they're dead, to be honest. Hi, Moira. So great to see you. I'm glad you're here. And this is scary. I mean, this card is scary. Look at it. It's scary. It's sad. It's just not what we want to see. But in our lives, we often get messages that are not what we want to hear, or not what we want to see. It does make people uneasy. Dawn says, that means for me, I am killing what is in my way. Dawn, actually, you are correct. Sorry, I keep wiping mask off the corners of my mouth. So whenever you see any kind of card that comes up in the tarot that evokes something like this, like death, and this is representing death. We think about death in tarot not in terms of physical death, like a card that comes up that's a death card, or a card that sort of pictures death. Doesn't mean that anyone's going to die. That is never what that means. What it does mean often is change, or the end of a cycle, or the end of some kind of thing. Could be positive or negative. But one of the things that we want to hold in our minds whenever we think about tarot is that it's a belief system where nothing is permanent, and that things come to necessary ends, just like in nature. And nowhere is that more apparent than in the Wild Unknown Tarot, where everything is the natural world. Moira says, I'm glad I could join, but oof, what a card to start. Yeah, I hear you. I mean, no one really hopes to get the Ten of Swords, I don't think. But in all of our lives, things do end. It can mean that something positive does emerge, and that can be an end to something that is difficult. Even when things are challenging, even when situations are painful, even when environments are toxic, even when relationships are toxic, whenever those end, the immediate result is not instant joy. And I think we all understand that. If we've ever been in toxic relationships, I know I've been in a couple, the immediate result is not joy. It's not instant joy. There is a period of grief. There's grief for what could have been. There's grief for, the positive feelings that you may have had about the situation at the start. There's grief for the time that you spent that maybe you weren't happy with, all the stuff you invested there. And that can be very negative, and that can feel very painful. Even when you are removing yourself from a difficult situation, a toxic situation. Maybe you're feeling like you've hit rock bottom and you've got to go somewhere else. That's a kind of ending too. And even when you feel like you've hit rock bottom and you're trying to claw your way out, that's not a pleasant experience either. I'm thinking about a good friend who is having a rough time right now, transitioning to a new job, and is feeling like she made a big mistake, doing what she was doing. And I don't really think that is the case, but maybe she's learning that she needs to see the transition as something necessary and is going to be somewhat painful for a while because something else ended. So I think that the message from this card for the week, keeping in mind the evocation of the natural world, keeping in mind the fact that endings are always there and endings are necessary, and that even when difficult things come to an end, there is a process of grieving. This may be what the universe needs us to hear right now. Just because something is changing doesn't mean you can't grieve for what you had before. And if something that you really want to end is going to end, it may come soon. Maybe the end of a difficult relationship with a person, or the end of contact with someone who's toxic, or leaving a community or an environment that's really toxic. It may come really abruptly. It may feel really, really intense, like all of these swords kind of stabbing you at once, but the change will happen. And even though someone will say to you, perhaps, it's for the best, or, it's a good thing you got out of there or something, that doesn't mean that you can't feel grief or pain or sadness about what happened. I know that I have in situations like that. So I'm hoping that kind of resonates with some of you. That may or may not be the situation that any of you are in right now, but maybe keeping in mind that sometimes change and endings come and they're really scary and they don't always feel great, even though they may overall move you to a better situation. So that's the 10 of Swords for us tonight. So I don't think any more comments have come up. I was wondering if anybody had any questions. Maybe I can read kind of one card for somebody before we kind of end tonight. Or maybe I could clarify something. John says, yay. I'm glad that you're seeing that, Glenn. Yeah, I know that this card is never like one that people like anticipate seeing, but in the natural world, there are always endings. Nature is not always gentle whenever it ends things. Nature has things like flash floods and forest fires and stampedes and hunts and famines. Nature is not always kind. Nature is not always nice, I should say. Nature often is somewhat destructive, but without those pieces of destruction, without that circle of life, like Don says, things would become terrible, like overpopulated, worse. So these endings are a necessary part of the cycles that we inhabit. As violent as they sometimes can be, not everything can be sunshine all the time. So, all right. How's one get a reading? Sharon, well, basically, you asked me a question if I'm here. And I'll just pull a card for you. Do you have any, the best way I can read is by sort of asking a specific question. So if I feel like I can do the best job when I'm reading for someone, if they have a question for me about, what's going on in their life or a situation, that helps me to start to sort of intuitively feel out what the cards have to say. So thanks, Dawn. I appreciate that. I hope that was helpful. Getting very, I'm starting to get a little drippage here from my mask. It's kind of, the oil is kind of dripping down my neck. It's kind of fun. So yeah, I would recommend using this mask, like right before you're about to like get in the shower so that you can wash it all off, which is what I'm going to do whenever I'm finished here. Don't really have much to say. I'm going to take a sip of water because I'm thirsty. Please be hydrating yourself, everyone. It's really hot out there. How specific does it have to be, Sharon asks? Well, specific specific enough so that I can kind of have a conversation with you about it, even if I may not know you very well. Something like what Dawn just asked, I have to take a trip, but I've been putting it off. Could you please pull a card? That's a good way to go. Yes or no questions are hard to kind of read for, as are sort of specific like time frames, like when will I meet my true love, which I do not ever answer for anybody because that is kind of a weird question. But a question like, you know, I have this kind of difficult situation at work. Could you give me some thoughts on it? Or I'm having this kind of difficult situation in my relationship. Or, you know, I have these questions about where my my career is going. Those are those kinds of questions. So let me pull a card for Dawn. All right. So Dawn's taking a trip, so I've been putting it off. All right. Dawn, why have you been putting off your trip? Is there a particular reason, or maybe you don't want to say, but I'm kind of shuffling a little bit while I think about that. Travel is always good. Well, travel is always a good thing to talk about with tarot as we wander the world. All right. Okay, interesting. All right. So, let's hate the long drive. Okay, okay. Is there something else about that that's a problem? Like, is the destination a thing? It's very important that you go. Okay, all right. So, the card that I pulled is interesting because it's another swords card. And it's the Queen of Swords, or the Mother of Swords, as it's pictured in this deck here. And the swords, I believe, are represented by owls in this deck. And owls are pretty cool, as we all know. And the Queen of Swords is a pretty interesting card because it's a clash of a lot of different kinds of energy. Now, the energy that comes with queens is kind of like a, you know, stereotypically feminine energy. It means it's like more nurturing and more like passive and stuff like that. I know that that's very, again, stereotypical, but we're working with kind of an old symbol system here. So let's just say that that energy is more kind of like a yin energy. It's more passive, nurturing, like that's the queen energy. But the swords are a very active energy, and swords, of course, are sharp. They're strong. There's a lot of action, a lot of movement in there. So you see this kind of interesting contrast where there's a lot of authority and a lot of sharpness and a lot of intensity and confidence and commanding energy captured in a card like this. So you can see our little owl here, lady, our little owl lady, our owl mother. And like, look at the way her eyes are pictured here. I mean, she's looking right at you. This is a very intense, straight-on gaze, and it can be a little bit disarming. And that's the energy of the Queen of Swords. It's a strong, strong, authoritative energy, an energy that commands respect, an energy that I would say is the kind of woman who doesn't take any bullshit from people. And that could represent any number of things in Dawn's question. So this could represent you. If you're the Queen of Swords taking this trip, you said you hate the long drive. This queen could be, you know, a message as simple as like, yeah, you don't like the long drive, but you got this. You're the Queen of Swords. You're you know, the queen dame of everything, and you're, you know, basically you're the queen of fucking everything, and you can do this. Or this could represent something else on the trip, maybe someone who you take with you. You know, if you have a friend who can go with you, or a relative, or somebody who has that strength and that energy that can help you kind of get through this sort of challenging situation. I think that this may be calling you to kind of find that strength within yourself to kind of not take any crap and do the thing that you need to do and get on your merry way, because you're really too important to be effing around with stupid stuff. That's the Queen of Swords. She is an important person. She's an important lady. She's got important things to do, and she doesn't have time for anybody's BS, like Sharon just said. So maybe you need to search within yourself and find that Queen of Swords energy that is like, you know, I don't want to do this, but my Queen of Swords can do this and will do this because she wants it off her plate, because she's got more important things to do. So I am going to put her on like a mask, like a character, and be my best Queen of Swords self while I go through this experience that I'm not real excited about, but I need to do. So that's one interpretation of this card coming up in relationship to Dawn's question. Dawn, is that resonating with you in any way? Kind of waiting for comments to come up. Sometimes they don't come up very fast in my computer. It's a no BS card. I heard, she says, so spot on, thank you. Yay, I'm glad. I once heard this card described in a different kind of context. I once heard the Queen of Swords or the Mother of Swords being described as the silencer of white tears. So in terms of BS, she's the silencer of BS, particularly dumb, ignorant BS. So sometimes we have our own little BS that runs in our minds that keeps us from doing the things that we need to do. Let her be the silencer of the BS and take her on to be the queen that you need to get through your situation. So jump on top of your sword and take your trip and kill it like you knew you would. All right. So before I go, I do want to mention, I believe that I am doing the She's a Sabbatical Beauty tomorrow night with Marissa. And I'm going to read cards for Marissa tomorrow online. I'm not sure what time that is going to be. Let me check my phone. It should tell me. But also my Tarot Tuesdays are going to kind of shift the time frames, because I am my sort of time is getting compressed because my full-time job started again last week, so I'm getting really busy, and some of you might know I work a couple of jobs, so I don't have a ton of time. So that means that Tarot Tuesdays are going to shift to like once a month, and that's just about all I have the time and energy for. So there will be another one coming up mid-October, one of these, and it'll be a little bit longer than the sort of weekly ones. And there'll be one in November, one in December, and then kind of we'll see what's going on for after that. But if you are interested in doing more tarot, please feel free to, hit me up with questions in the Sabbatical Beauty group. You can tag me. Please come on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern for me and Marissa talking about tarot and me talking a little bit about my experiences with Sabbatical Beauty. There are lots and lots of great resources on the web for the wisdom of the tarot and tarot readers that I would recommend if you're interested in getting a more in-depth like tarot reading. There's lots of people that I could tell you about. And yeah, so I hope that this week goes well for all of you. I hope that the universe is sending you lots and lots of good energy. I hope that if you're in the heat, that it breaks sometime soon. And I hopefully will see some of you tomorrow night. So everyone have a great Tuesday night, and love you. Bye.